from states that conduct hostile activities in and against the UK. I commend this statement to the House.
Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Can I start by thanking the Security Minister for advance sight of his statement, which he provided with his customary professionalism and courtesy. We on this side welcome the commencement of the FIRS regime, legislated for in the last Parliament, and I pay tribute to the Right Honourable members for Witham, Fareham, Braintree, Tunbridge and Malling and East Hampshire for the work they did in bringing this legislation forward. I also welcome the announcement that Iran and now today Russia will be included on the enhanced list, meaning that all activity those countries or those acting for those countries undertaking in the UK must be registered. But, Madam Deputy Speaker, I would like to address the bulk of my remarks to the elephant in the room, which the Security Minister did not mention at all during his speech, and that is China. MI5 Director General Ken McCallum said almost 3 years ago, in July 2022, this: "The most game-changing challenge we face is from the Chinese Communist Party. It is covertly applying pressure across the globe." In October 2023, Ken McCallum added, "We have seen a sustained campaign of Chinese espionage on an epic scale." In January 2024, FBI Director Christopher Wray said this: "China is the defining threat of our generation." So I have a very simple question for the Security Minister this afternoon. He had plenty to say, quite rightly, about Iran and Russia. But why is he silent on China? We know China engages in industrial-scale espionage, seeking to steal technology from government, universities and from industry. They repress Chinese citizens here and have sought to infiltrate our political system. In 2022, it was exposed by MI5 that China sought to infiltrate this very Parliament via their agent Christine Lee. China has set up undeclared and illegal police stations in the UK. And in December of last year, China placed a bounty on the head of 3 Hong Kong dissidents living in the UK. And I would like to ask again a question that wasn't answered last time. Why has the Chinese ambassador not been summoned to explain that? So, Madam Deputy Speaker, there is no question in my mind China should be in that enhanced tier, and it is an astonishing admission that they have not been listed as such already. So, why is the government silent on this issue? Now, in the past, governments have prioritised economic growth in their relations with China. But we now know today a lot more about how China operates than we did 10 or 15 years ago. We know how they operate, we know what they're up to. So isn't the truth this? In their desperation to get economic growth going, after the Chancellor's rather unfortunate autumn budget, the government seems to be prioritising economic links over national security when it comes to China, which I would imagine is why the government appears to be intending to grant planning permission to China for their super embassy, which we all know will be a base for espionage activity. So, Madam Deputy Speaker, in conclusion, the Minister has spoken about Iran and Russia and the threat they pose, quite rightly. He is taking action, he is right to do so, and we support him in doing that. But MI5 and the FBI have both warned about the epic threat posed by China. So will he please answer this simple question? Will he place China in that enhanced tier?
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Firstly, let me begin, I hope, on a point of consensus, and I'm grateful to him for the gratitude that he expressed in general terms about the progression of this scheme. I certainly hope that there is cross-party agreement about the importance that this particular new tool will add, and I'm very grateful for his support. And I'm also very grateful for the work that was done by the previous government in terms of the development and subsequent implementation of the National Security Act. Let me just say to him before I turn to the question that he posed, that what we're trying to do here through the use of furs and through other means and mechanisms is to ensure that the UK is as hard a target as possible, to make it the most challenging operating environment for those who would do us harm. These are matters that this government takes incredibly seriously, and I hope that he will acknowledge that we have progressed the process of furs at pace, despite some accusations from one or two members on the opposite side that that was not the case. Now, for reasons that I completely understand, albeit I hope that he would acknowledge that the main geographical focus today was on Russia. We covered Iran a number of weeks ago, and the geographical focus, in addition to the other remarks I made about furs today, has been about Russia. He didn't have very much to say about Russia, but I welcome him welcoming the fact that we have specified Russia on the enhanced tier. But for reasons that I completely understand, he asked about China. Now, he will recall the remarks that I made to this House on the 4th of March, where I was very clear to say that countries will be considered separately and decisions will be taken by this government based on the evidence. Now, I said then, and I will say again now, that I'm not going to speculate on which countries may or may not be specified in the future. I think that that is the right way to proceed, and I hope that he understands that. I can just say to him, and I hope that he recognises the wider strategy that this government is pursuing with regard to China. The government is taking a consistent, long-term and strategic approach to managing the UK's relationship with China. I have to say I didn't agree, and this will come as no surprise to him, to the way in which he characterised the nature of the relationship with that country. The government's policy is clear. We will cooperate where we can, compete where we need to, and challenge where we must, including on issues of national security.
Madam Deputy Speaker, can I welcome the Minister's statement and his trademark constructive and authoritative tone. Very often it's frontline police officers who deal with the consequences of aggressive action by hostile states on Britain's streets. Can I then specifically welcome the Minister's announcements that training on state threats activity will be offered by counter-terrorism police to all of our 45 territorial police forces. Would he be able to provide a further update on the rollout of this training?
Thank you. I'm very grateful to her for her question. It's an important point that she makes. Often where the rubber hits the road is the incredibly important work done by police officers on the beat, and I pay tribute to them and their service. It's very important that we ensure as a government that all police forces are making sure that those police officers out and about in the course of their duties do get the training that they require in order to be able to identify and appropriately respond to matters that may constitute either transnational repression or state-directed activities. So I can give her that assurance that we're working with police forces to ensure that that training is taking place at pace. I'm, along with the Policing Minister, liaising with Chief Constables and Police and Crime Commissioners to make sure that this work is underway, but it will provide a valuable tool for those policing our streets, ensuring that they have the requisite skills, training, knowledge and experience should they encounter the kind of issues that we're discussing today.
Liberal Democrat spokesperson Lisa Smart.
Very much indeed, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I thank the Minister as always for advanced sight of his statement. We on the Lib Dem benches welcome the further implementation by the Government of the Foreign Influence Registration Scheme, but I find myself in the rather unusual position of agreeing with a lot of what the Shadow Home Secretary has said today. Very dangerous territory. Last year, Parliament's Intelligence and Security Committee issued the excoriating China report, which said that the government doesn't have a clear strategy on China and hasn't devoted sufficient resources to tackling the threat it posed. So I'll ask the Minister some new questions that the Shadow Home Secretary didn't ask. Could the Minister confirm whether the government has plans to generate a human rights and democracy report, conduct the audit on China that they've promised, and ensure that China is fully considered in the Strategic Defence Review? As has been mentioned, many are severely concerned by the proposed mega-Chinese embassy, for which the government has indicated its support. Does the Minister believe that the building of this embassy will encourage the Chinese Communist Party to carry on its attempts to subvert our democracy? And what conversation